Trostani Discordant versus Chandra, Fire of Kaladesh. Yeah, that could be a difficult matchup for us. We only have one land in hand, so that won't do. That is much better. We can get into an Elvish Mystic on turn 1, hoping that our opponent doesn't go for some early burn, which they most likely will. We'll certainly put another land on top, which we'll draw into. Might just go for Enlightened Tutor instead, into a Sol Ring. Well, in that case, seeing as how they don't have a means of tapping down a creature and pinging something, we'll go for the Elvish Mystic and get the Summoning Sickness off that. And I think we'll put a stop on the upkeep. Oh, no, apparently we won't. I thought I did that in time. Come on. There we go. We will just play a tap land. It was at least nice to get into Gaia's Cradle. Would have been even nicer to get into a Sol Ring though, because that would have been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would have been a Trostani next turn. Been foiled by Magic Online. Over the commanders, Chandra, Fire of Kaladesh is a 2/2 for 3 mana. Whenever you cast a red spell, untap it, and then you can tap, and it deals 1 damage to a creature or player. And if it has dealt 3 or more damage in a turn, then you flip it over into its Planeswalker, which is +1, 2 damage to a player or Planeswalker, -2, 2 damage to a creature, and -7, it deals 6 damage to each opponent. Each player dealt damage this way gets an emblem with, at the beginning of your upkeep, the emblem deals 3 damage to you. Yeah, we're struggling to read that. The lower part of the text is quite small. We'll grab our... In that case, why don't we just go for Mana Crypt? Or we could just go for... Yeah, we could really stick it to our opponent and get the... What is it called? Darksteel Mutation. Yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to grab Darksteel Mutation. And we're going to go for the Gaia's Cradle, which will only tap for 1, of course. Now, even if they deal with the Darksteel Mutation, which isn't likely in a mono red deck, but even if they do, we have Eternal Witness. So we bought ourselves a little bit of time there. No point swinging in. And hopefully they don't burn out our Elvish Mystic, because that will take... Well, it'll take 2 mana off us effectively, because we won't be able to use the Gaia's Cradle either. But it is likely that they'll have burn in their hand, and that they're not just solely reliant on Chandra. Alright, but we get back through to our turn, which is a blessing. That means that we can... that would have really hurt us there. But they didn't, so we get into Trostani Discordant, which we actually don't mind if they burn out, because then we get to recast it again and get even more tokens in play. Probably just go for Armada Worm next turn. And then the turn after that, Beastmaster Ascension. We can start swinging in with our army. And that will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counters that we can put on the Beastmaster. So the turn after, we'll be able to buff things up. Now if they want to copy something, I wonder what it is they want to copy with the Pyromancer's Goggles. Might just be trying to deal some burn damage directly to us. We do make a land drop for the turn, which is really good. And we can actually get down the Beastmaster. Yeah, we'll get down Beastmaster Ascension. If they use some kind of wheel effect, then it's not the end of the world to lose the Eternal Witness. And the trample on Armada Worm is going to be really nice because they can block with Chandra for days because it's indestructible. And it does mean that we wouldn't otherwise be able to get the damage through with whatever they block. We're going to get 3 counters on these, which means that the Beastmaster Ascension is going to be active next turn. And it's going to give all of our creatures +5/+5. This thing needs 7 counters on it. And they can of course remove something from combat with the Maze of Ith, but that doesn't mean that we didn't already attack. So we do of course get 3 counters on our Beastmaster Ascension. When it has 7 or more counters on it, we get +5/+5 to all our creatures. So they're only going to lose 1 life here, 1 point of commander damage. Highly doubt we're ever going to win with commander damage with Trostani Discordant. Do of course want to make a token army and just go wide. They might just try and wipe out our board with a chain reaction or a blasphemous act, something like that. And they'll get to copy it as well if they do go for something that's mass burn. No, they go for their own tokens in the Chandra Flamecaller. That is discard all cards in your hand and draw that many cards. That's the 0 ability. Or they can throw out 2 3/1 elementals with haste, but they get exiled at the end step. And then -X is deal X damage to each creature. I think we are aiming for... yeah, Martial Coup could be good to get into. That is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, so if we just swing in with everything apart from the elf, then I think we're looking pretty good. I'm just going to swing... well, let's try and work this out. If we go... take that at Chandra and that at Chandra, then even if they block and Maze of Ith, then we should still get that through. And this should mean an active Beastmaster Ascension. It does. We get a massive buff to all our things. We could wasteland the Maze of Ith so we don't have to play around it. I'll see how the turns go from now on. Okay, going to maze on one of the life linkers. They don't want us to gain any more life, especially if they are going on the burn plan, but I think we've got this game wrapped up now. I won't. It's not over till the Fat Lady sings, of course, but I don't know how they're going to burn out all our creatures when they're so big now. There are colourless means of getting rid of permanents. I think we'll just go for Eternal Witness and hold on to Enlightened Tutor, just in case we want to grab something with that. We can do it at the end of our opponent's turn. We can also do it in response to a wheel if our opponent decides to make use of one of those. And I think at the end of our opponent's turn we'll wasteland the Maze of Ith and go at our opponent's face. The Darksteel Mutation done a lot of work for us in this game because I've played against Chandra, Fire of Kaladesh before, and she does a lot of damage to you, and she's actually quite easy to flip over if you, of course, you've built a deck around her if she's your commander. So if anyone's interested in mono red burn, she's a good commander to go for. Just have to watch out for things like Darksteel Mutation. Well, unfortunately, there's not a whole lot red can do about it. Can go for things like Spine of Ishtar and Ugin, things like that, which our opponent may have in hand. They can produce a lot of mana. Ugin is probably one of the only things that could get them out of this. Okay, they Starstorm. It's 5 damage to each creature. That actually doesn't do anything, I don't think. Oh, but they get to do it twice. So that would actually be 10 damage to everything. Yeah, so we'd keep the Armada Worm. Yeah, we'd keep 2 Armada Worms, and we'd be able to swing in for 22 damage. They'd block 1 of it. We'd get 21 on them exactly. We'd kill the Maze of Ith. Yeah, so our opponent clearly saw that before we did. The Starstorm was cast twice thanks to the Pyromancer's Goggles. But luckily, thanks to our Darksteel mutation, we managed to keep our token army alive long enough to get the Beastmaster Ascension off. So, good game to our opponent. We were just lucky getting into that Enlightened Tutor and being able to go for the Darksteel mutation. Without that, I think the game would have gone very differently. But that's Trostani Discordant. That's exactly what she wants to do. Get out a token army and swing in for huge amounts of damage. So, hope you enjoyed that. I'm tribalkai on the EDH channel. Thank you for watching.